UFC International Fight Week 2025 is coming up next week, and today, guys, I have the full card breakdown for you with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with 20 YouTube channels. As we typically do with all these cards, we are going to be breaking down every fight as much as we possibly can, talking about them, what I like about the matchups, giving betting tips. Every single fight we have odds right now. We're going to be taking a look at all of that, and again, timestamps are there if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Let's get started. And with the first fight, we have the return of Payton Talbott taking on Felipe Lima. And this is a banger fight to open up the card. I am actually excited for every single fight on this card, aside from one fight, I believe, on this card. And a lot of people have been upset about the International Fight Week card and not being up to standards. Yeah, it could be better, especially Paulo Costa pulling out, but I really didn't expect that guy to show up to fight, to be honest with you. I'm kind of like at John Jones level with him right now. Whenever he shows up, he shows up. But anyways, that's besides the point. Payton Talbott returning after suffering his first loss, and he's taking on Felipe Lima. I'm actually a little bit interested in the discourse around this one because when this fight got booked, a lot of the reaction online was, oh my god, that's a bad matchup for Payton Talbott. That's a horrible matchup. People are already off the Payton Talbott train. I understand why. He kind of, I don't know if I want to say he got exposed in his grappling because Raoni Barcelos, and this is the loss, of course, his first loss, he's 9-1, taking on Raoni Barcelos, and this is the first time where his ground game really got exposed. We've seen him struggle just a little bit with the grappling before, but he's always been able to overcome it. He's always been a really good fighter, so I'm interested to see how he bounces back from him. Anyways, Payton Talbott, he's a good, flashy striker with solid movement, really good volume. He can strike and grapple, but he is 100% a better striker than he is a grappler. He moves, and this is the way that I typically describe Payton Talbott when he moves forward. The dude typically moves forward like a brick wall. The only problem is, recently, we have seen him against Raoni Barcelos, and a lot of people, and I don't know if I'm ready to say this yet, but a lot of people believe that his grappling game did end up getting exposed because Raoni Barcelos had absolutely no problem just controlling this guy the entire time. But before that, even prior to the UFC, I wasn't like super high on Payton Talbott, but once he actually entered the UFC, I thought he was a little bit overhyped coming into the UFC, but then I kind of changed my tune because he beat Nick Aguirre, and he's been looking fantastic since he came into the game. Cameron Simon destroyed him. Yanis Gamori destroyed him. But looking back on it, how good of a win was Cameron Simon? Was I overrating Cameron Simon? Because I thought Cameron Simon was an excellent prospect. But Cameron Simon has also been fed to the wolves. So I don't know if I want to say that Payton Talbot has been fed opponents. But Raoni Barcelos is a fighter that everybody has been underrating. So I don't know where Payton really fits into his career right now and whether or not he's still in it. If we've overrated him in the past, I don't know. Somebody that he's taken on, though, is another surging contender in Felipe Lima. He is also a well-rounded fighter, but primarily a striker. When it comes to, like, Payton Talbott, I did say that he is also a grappler. He can grapple. Felipe Lima, when I say that he is well-rounded, he is definitely a better grappler than Payton Talbott, but he is also primarily a striker. He's very aggressive, he's very creative, and he does have very sneaky takedowns in his arsenal, and he can keep up with a very tough fight. I have been very impressed with him coming to the UFC so far because he came in and he submitted Muhammad Naimov. Now, I'm hoping that this ages well because I'm recording this before Muhammad Naimov's performance in the previous weekend that you're watching this video. Muhammad Naimov, I believe to be an excellent fighter. Coming into your UFC debut, making a statement like that, it was just extremely impressive to me. He got another win after that against Miles Johns, and this fight was nothing spectacular, but it was another really good performance. He just completely outworked Miles Johns. I'm feeling very good about Felipe Lima. I like the momentum that he's on. And this is another interesting bout because something I probably should have mentioned is that I don't know, and I should have looked into it at what weight this is taking place at, because I believe that Felipe Lima is going down in weight. Regardless, you have Felipe Lima, who had his last performance at 145, and Payton Talbott, who had his last performance at 135. I don't know who's moving up and down, but that's another thing to take into consideration if you are betting on this fight, because obviously, some people look good, some people don't look so good when they're changing weight classes. Historically, if somebody from a smaller weight class is moving up, they perform better, but that's I apologize. I should have looked a little bit into that, but I just noticed that now. It didn't even occur to me that they've been in different weight classes. But Payton Talbott, I have to worry about his confidence level because when he was in the octagon, he moved forward kind of like he couldn't possibly be bothered by his opponent. He's just going to go in there and he's just going to do his thing. Now that he suffered his first loss, and he didn't just suffer his first loss, he got, like, completely outworked. You have to worry about someone's confidence level coming back into the octagon when something like that happens. He could come back. He could be improved. Hopefully, he just worked on his ground game. The takedowns won't happen, and he'll move forward completely. But that's something that I do worry about because of that, and I think this is a very even matchup. I'm going to lean towards the momentum that Felipe Lima is on right now. I've been very impressed with his first couple performances, but I am not with the rest of the MMA community saying that, oh, this is a horrible matchup for Payton Talbott. This is a really, really bad matchup. I think they're two excellent prospects, and I think that it's a little bit of a tough one to call, but I am going to side with Felipe Lima on this bout, and I don't know who's going to be the favorite for this one. Let's see over here over at OddsJam. Felipe Lima, sent at a minus 164 favorite. Yeah, I mean, I've been very impressed with him. A lot of people have been very impressed with him. It's just, I wouldn't count out Payton Talbott at all in this fight. I'm just interested to see how he'll come back. This is a very, very fun first fight. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card to Jhonata Diniz taking on Alvin Hines, who is a UFC newcomer, and he's been taking this fight on short notice. Jhonata Diniz was supposed to be on the main card and taking on one of the Tafa brothers, but Tafa ended up pulling out, and Alvin Hines got picked out of the LFA into the octagon. So we'll start with Jhonata Diniz. He is a fairly well-rounded heavyweight fighter who excels at technical kickboxing. He has a very, very crisp jab. He's pretty good on the feet in general, but unfortunately, I don't want to say he has a hole in his ground game, but that is where his weakness lies. If you do get him taken down, it's almost like he just accepts that position. He just doesn't want to stand up or fight off submissions, and we did see this with the Marcin Tybura fight. He definitely does his best work on the feet. Again, I don't know if I want to say it's a complete hole in his grappling game, but regardless, that is the path to victory against Jhonata Diniz. Alvin Hines, on the other hand, like I said, been coming out of the LFA. If you have been following the channel, you might know that I'm a big fan of the LFA organization. I've been watching this guy for a little while now on his come up. He is a really, really, the best way to describe him is he is just a really, really big guy, and he uses his mass. He has really heavy leg kicks. He has pretty good basic combinations. He is very good at using like a 1-2 leading into a leg kick. He is super tough, but he is also very slow, and he is very hittable, and he can fade a little bit as the fight goes on. He gets away with his lack of technique and his sloppiness because he's such a big guy. His mass is there. He'll walk forward, he'll swing weirdly, and he can get away with it because he's such a big guy. The other thing about Alvin Hines is this dude is not afraid to cheat. If he finds himself like trying to go to the ground, he will grab that fence, and I think this is something that it's important to note when you're breaking down fights in the UFC nowadays, because you won't see a point deduction. Alvin Hines is one of those fighters who's not afraid to cheat. But when these two match up, here's the problem, because Jhonata Diniz, he has that UFC experience, but realistically, against who? He beat Austin Lane. Everybody beats Austin Lane. Carl Williams doesn't really offer a ton of danger, and then Marcin Tybura, who he lost to, I know he looked good on this fight, like right at the beginning, but then Marcin Tybura did what Marcin Tybura does. So does he really have that like extra UFC experience? But Alvin Hines, he hasn't taken on anybody's significance in the LFA, man. Like they've been okay guys, but he's been able to walk through a lot of these guys. He's been okay. So the competition level hasn't been the same, but how much of a real gap really is there? I'm going to go with Jhonata Diniz because I don't believe that Alvin Hines is going to want to take him to the ground, and Jhonata Diniz will be on the feet, ready to let go with his technique and kind of pick apart Alvin Hines. I think he'll be able to, even if Alvin Hines kind of overpowers him a little bit, and both of them are really big guys, don't get me wrong, but Alvin's one of those guys who's pretty tough. He likes to walk forward. He's more likely to fade. Taking this on short notice, he might fade as well. So I'm going to pick Jhonata Diniz to get the win over here, but this should be a very, very exciting fight. Jhonata Diniz is sitting at a minus 231 favorite. That's understandable for the reasons that I just mentioned, of course, like the short notice and lack of experience in the UFC, things like that. So my pick is going to be Jhonata Diniz to get the win here. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card to Niko Price possibly walking into his death, taking on a prospect that a lot of people are believing in right now, Jacobe Smith. I'm personally pretty excited for this fight, but we'll start off with Niko Price. There's not a ton to break down about Niko Price, man. He is a decent striker with decent takedowns, decent submissions. He's not one of those fighters that really shines anywhere. He does like rely on kind of out-harding you in performances. He's gotten away with that quite a few times, but every single time that we see Niko Price kind of take a little bit of a step up in competition, and it doesn't even really need to be a step up in competition, he kind of doesn't really perform the best. He's lost to a lot of fighters, and he like getting wins over somebody like Alex Morono, who is extremely past his prime. He's 36 years old now. He is completely exited his prime. And Niko Price, while I like Niko Price, unfortunately, he isn't the same guy that he was coming into the UFC. And when he did come into the UFC, he wasn't necessarily all of that. But he's taken on Jacobe Smith. A lot of people really believe in this prospect. I'm one of those guys as well. He is a well-rounded fighter who is just an insanely violent fighter in general. And honestly, guys, when you describe these guys as just violent guys, like I'm talking like a Joe Anderson Brito, I'm talking like a Khalil Roundtree, and hopefully that ended up aging well because, again, mentioning a fighter that's fighting on the previous card that you're at the time you're seeing this video, they bring a new kind of, and I know that all of these guys are violent, but when you describe this guy like as truly violent, it kind of brings like a next level danger to the fight, and I think that's pretty good. Jacobe Smith, he has pretty good takedowns. He has absolutely violent ground and pound with elbows. And something that I do like about Jacobe Smith is, like, speaking of his ground and pound, and we've seen this in one of his recent performances, he just makes sure that he is taking his time hitting you and getting maximum damage while he's ground and pounding. On the feet, he's very violent as well. He has great calf kicks. Like I was just talking about Alvin Hines, this dude isn't afraid to cheat. He isn't afraid to be dirty. I'm talking like hands over the mouth, covering the eyes, back of the head bombs. Like, this dude wants to come in here and he just wants to hurt his opponent. He is very violent in general. He is in his prime. We finally saw him make his UFC debut. They came in, they swung, and he ended up getting a knockout. I am a believer in Jacobe Smith, at least at the level that he's at right now. Where I'll worry about him is when he gets into like pretty solid contenders just outside the rankings. But for a fight at the level of Niko Price, I think Jacobe Smith is just going to come in. He's going to completely out-tough him. I don't know where the fight's going to go, whether it's on the feet, on the ground. I just think Jacobe Smith is going to come in here and put a beating on Niko Price, and I'm very confident in Jacobe Smith to get the job done. I do not think this is a fighter that we're going to see fraud checked. He seems like he is one of the real deal. So Jacobe, oh my God. I just looked at odds, Jam. I did not know the odds were that crazy. You know what the sad part about that is? I get it. I don't hate it. I don't even want to say, like, you know what, throw some money on Niko Price. I do not see a path to victory for him. But you know what? It's MMA. Anything can happen. Jacobe Smith is my most confident pick on the card. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. A fighter that I'm excited to see back into the octagon is Hyder Amil taking on Jose Delgado. These are two, again, they're pretty good contenders. And a lot of people have been upset about this card in the International Fight Week, but there are a lot of really solid matchups on here, and this is one of them. I'm excited to see Hyder Amil back. He is one of those guys, if coming from the camp of, I guess it's El Nino. I didn't know what it was called, but it's like the Jake Shields camp, the Gilbert Melendez camp. I'm excited to see him, man, because he is a good, aggressive striker with a lot of power. He has a lot of cardio. He has a lot of heart. He has an okay ground game, but he's definitely far from useless. He has pretty good scrambles. He has pretty good BJJ defense, but he definitely wants to remain on the feet. The only problem with Hyder Amil is one thing that he does need to work on is his finishing instincts. Sometimes he can have his opponents hurt. He can try to finish the fight, but he just lacks that extra little bit of volume to really finish somebody. But regardless, he is a good fighter. He's improving every single time that we see him. And man, while he's had good performances, and I've been watching both of these guys since they made their debut in the LFA. I believe Jose Delgado only had one performance in the LFA. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah, he did. And then before moving on to the Contender Series, Hyder Amil, I have been watching in the LFA before he ended up getting onto the Contender Series, and he's been improving every single time that we've seen him, and he's gotten some wins over some good guys. And I was particularly really impressed with this William Gomez fight. It was a really close fight. I edged it to Hyder Amil over here, and I am somebody who thinks very highly of William Gomez. It was an amazing, dirty, technical war on both ends, but it is one of those fights that could have gone either way. So in the split decision, I'm not calling. I don't think anybody should be calling robbery or anything. I loved how he performed in there. He did a fantastic job at not letting Gomez get comfortable. He was pursuing him. He was looking really good. I just think that every single time that he's been showing up, he has been improving. Jose Delgado, on the other hand, he is a well-rounded fighter with good accuracy on the feet, pretty good defense as well, and he does have nice BJJ and submissions in his back pocket as well. Like I said, I've been watching this guy since he made his LFA debut on the Contender Series. Looked pretty good, came in, got a nice win over Connor Matthews, but we didn't really get to see enough, and unfortunately, Connor Matthews ended up not necessarily being all of that. So for this fight, I imagine it remaining on the feet, even if it goes to the ground. I think it'll be fairly close. I'm going to pick Hyder Amil to get the win in this fight. I like the rate that he's been improving. I like the quality of opponents that he's been taking on, and he's been getting better while taking on better levels of competition. Jose Delgado looks like he's going to be a good fighter. He is absolutely a good prospect, belongs in the UFC right now, but I think Hyder Amil is just going to perform a little bit better. Again, I like the experience that he's been taking on. I like the opponents that he's been taking on, and I'm comfortable with saying that he's going to get the job done over here. So my pick is going to be Hyder Amil, and you can see that Hyder Amil's actually the underdog. If he remains at an underdog, that's something that I'll probably end up betting on. I like him, man. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's going to get the job done. Let me know what you guys think about this one down below. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card over to Terrance McKinney taking on Viacheslav Borshchev. This is a pretty good fight. Two contenders a little bit in the same spot in their career. I like this one, man. We'll start off with Terrance McKinney. Terrance McKinney is a lengthy striker with huge power and a great wrestling game behind that striking. He really shines when he's able to put the pressure on his opponents, and on the ground, when he does take his opponents down, he has pretty nice control. He has nice ground and pound. He has just like a really good top pressure heavy game in general. Supposedly, and this is something that Terrance McKinney his team has been mentioning, he's been working on fighting more patiently. He showed a little bit of that so far, and he's been coming off after ended up taking the rough loss against Esteban Ribovics. He came back, got a nice win over Damir Hadzovic, and it was a perfect performance, man. He came in with great fluid striking, reverse a takedown, and just ground pounded his way to a stoppage. He looked very, very violent over here. When Terrance McKinney is on, he looks like a serious problem. It's a little bit shocking to me that he's 16-7 because the skill level is there, but he has been taking on, like, his other loss to Nazim Sadikov. Again, hopefully everything that I'm talking about these opponents ages well because it's another fighter that's just fighting. But he's also an excellent prospect. So Terrance McKinney, he's been taking on a lot of really good competition. He's been improving at a little bit of a rate. Like, I don't want to say like to the level of a Hyder Amil that he's been improving, but he is a pretty good fighter. Viacheslav Borshchev, on the other hand, perhaps a fighter that I have overrated in the past. I am no longer on the train because every single time I see him fight, and he's 8-5, man, he's been inconsistent. Every single time that he's there, I talk about like he has all the potential in the world, but he just doesn't string it together. And I'm done. I'm done with that, okay? Viacheslav Borshchev, he is a very experienced kickboxer. He has over 200 kickboxing fights. He is a striker with fantastic kicks, specifically leg kicks. He's powerful. He has very nicely timed shots. His heart is off the charts. He always wants to, and while he can't always like put it together, man, like he really comes in. He wants to win the fight. He's not one to quit, but unfortunately, he is a very good kickboxer that can be controlled on the ground if you're good enough. Like, not just your average guy with a little bit of wrestling be able to control Viacheslav Borshchev. You have to have a decent wrestling game. He is also, unfortunately, susceptible to bad cuts. He's just one of those guys that breaks easy, and he can fade as the fight goes on, but he doesn't always fade. His cardio is a little bit weird, to be honest with you. We've seen him fade. We've seen him not fade. Guys, when these two are coming up, man, I see Terrance McKinney, who's been losing to, like, fantastic fighters. If Viacheslav Borshchev has been losing to not fantastic fighters, but he's losing to very good fighters as well. Chase Hooper, he lost to Tom Nolan. Like, and this fight, honestly, it was a good fight. It was a very close fight, in my opinion, but I've seen Viacheslav Borshchev get dragged through hell and kind of, like, barely make it out of there enough times now. Terrance McKinney, on the other hand, he's been losing to guys that I think is a little bit of a step ahead of Viacheslav Borshchev, so I'm going to pick Terrance McKinney to get the job done over here. I don't know how it's going to look on the feet. I would imagine McKinney would have a little bit of the edge, but where if he decides to come in, use the wrestling game, use the ground and pound, I believe that he can make a bloody mess of Viacheslav Borshchev, and we can kind of see Borshchev in that same position again. So I am going to pick Terrance McKinney. I'm no longer on the train of Viacheslav Borshchev. I am just going to pick the guy who I think is improving at a little bit of a rate, taking on good opponents, and he's been looking a little bit better each time that we see him. Terrance McKinney is going to be my pick. I'm interested to see what the favorite is over here. Oh, Terrance McKinney is a 2-1 favorite just about. That makes sense, man. Terrance McKinney, like I said, Borshchev is disappointed too many times. So I'm with the odds on this one. I am going to pick Terrance McKinney to get the job done. All right, guys, let's continue on over to the featured prelim. We have Viviane Araujo taking on everybody's favorite fighter, Tracy Cortez. This, in my opinion, is going to be the only stinker on the card. I don't necessarily like watching Viviane Araujo's fights, but there's not a ton to break down about her, man. She is a good offensive striker who lacks defense on the feet. She can show technique, but she can fade in fights, and it's always really tough to call her fight. Sometimes she shows up, she looks like an okay striker, and sometimes she just kind of makes it close, doesn't look all that good, you know. It's a little bit tough to break her down. She's 13-6. I like every time she has, I don't know, man. Like her record explains it. You know, she shows up, she wins, she loses. She's taking on decent competition at least. And I even think that Karine Silva, the fight was a robbery, but I mean, like it was kind of close. I don't know if I want to say robbery. I just thought that Karine Silva ended up winning this fight. She only got away with it because Silva ended up gassing. Tracy Cortez, on the other hand, she is a great wrestler with improving striking typically every time that we see her. She's pretty accurate. She is, and for the division, she has some nice sting to her shots. She's quite powerful for the division. She does need to work on her striking defense, though, but again, she seems to be improving most times that we have seen her. She was on a nice little win streak over here until she ended up losing to Rose Namajunas. And it's important to note for this fight, She took this fight on a few weeks' notice, and this was a fight at elevation. So maybe that's why the performance wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't like that. It wasn't horrible, but Rose Namajunas was just better, and it was a big step up in competition for her. So I don't know how much I want to really look into that, because I came away from this fight and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it was overrating Tracy Cortez. But then again, she took this fight at elevation. She took this on short notice against one of the best women's fighters ever. Before that, and the reason that I was saying I might have been overrating her is because she beat Jasmine Jastovicius, where she looked on and crisp. And I'm somebody who thinks very highly of Jasmine Jastovicius. I think she's a great fighter. So I'm a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about Tracy Cortez, because before that performance, she hasn't taken on anybody that really made me go, oh, that's a good win. Let's go Tracy Cortez. So she has one amazing win and one really rough loss that made me go, I don't know. But at least when I look at this fight, I have a fighter who I'm completely unimpressed with in Viviane Araujo, and somebody who I see potential in Tracy Cortez. On top of that, if the fight's fairly close, the UFC is going to give Tracy Cortez a robbery decision because she is very marketable. You put Tracy Cortez in one of those little skits that the UFC does, like, you know, with the fighters, and what do they do? The Canadian card, just a bag of milk. You know what I'm talking about? You do anything with Tracy Cortez, you have a Nina drama type thing. Tracy Cortez will pick up views, and the UFC obviously wants her to win against a fighter who's pushing 40 and nobody cares about. Tracy Cortez is going to be my pick, and I'm fairly confident in saying that. I was just worried about, like, I don't know how her skill level fits within the division. That's why I was mentioning Tracy Cortez and what I was thinking about her, okay? Tracy Cortez is sitting at a minus 233 favorite. I get that, man. She should win this fight. I think she's going to win this fight. And you have, oh my God, the over 2.5 at minus 833. Yeah, I see that fight absolutely going to decision, but my pick again is going to be Tracy Cortez. Now, guys, before we get into the main card fights, let me stop you for just a second. Of course, I talk a lot about betting on this channel. If you're interested in either supporting the channel or seeing exactly what I'm doing with my money, you can check out the channel membership, which is very cheap compared to other channels. Again, if you either want to support the channel or seeing what I'm doing with my money, every single Friday or Saturday morning, depending on whether or not I want to bet on Friday fights, I'll be uploading a community members post and a members only video explaining exactly what I'm doing with my money each week and why I'm making my picks. If you're interested in any of that or supporting the channel, then again, check out the channel membership, pinned comment, description down below, or right next to the subscribe button. Also, OddsJam, if you would like to get a subscription over to OddsJam, it's a fantastic product for serious sports bettors with multiple sports books. You can get a discount to OddsJam with my link in the pinned comment description down below using code Clenbat. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Let's get into the main card. Now, let's get into the first main card fight, and this one is a very, very tough fight to pick, in my opinion. We have the return of Jack Hermansson, and how long has it been since he took on Joe Pyfer? Over a year ago. Where does this guy go? He kind of just disappears. But anyways, Jack Hermansson taking on RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez. Jack Hermansson is a well-rounded fighter who is one of those guys who's pretty good everywhere, but he doesn't exactly shine anywhere. But he is very, very good and underrated when it comes to technique in pretty well all aspects of MMA. He has great fight IQ and he has really good cardio on top of all of that. Jack Hermansson is just a very good, underrated fighter. Gregory Rodriguez, on the other hand, he is a well-rounded fighter with really solid power. He shines when he is swinging away in a brutal, brutal fight. He also has a really good BJJ game to back up that incredible power he does have on the feet. The only other thing to note about Gregory Rodriguez is ever since we've seen him have that like really, really brutal cut above his eye, it's like somewhere around here. I think it's right here in the eyebrow. Regardless, he has some scar tissue there that's pretty easy to open up, and when that thing gets opened up, he gets and turns into a bloody mess. And with damage-based scoring, he can lose rounds because of that if that does get opened up, and that can sway the judges. So that's something very important to note when it comes to Gregory Rodriguez. Now, when it comes to how these two actually match up, it's one of those fights, and I think that this might be the toughest pick on the card. Jack Hermansson has been underrated so many times. So many times. But I would say that he shines a little bit better as the fight goes on. Excuse me, sorry about that. Gregory Rodriguez might be able to win a round, maybe a round or two, starting really good against Jack Hermansson, but that's a toughie, man. It's really tough. Jack Hermansson, while he's been a little bit inconsistent, and I don't know why he doesn't fight too often, but he wins, he loses, he's taking on pretty good fighters, you know? He got a nice win over Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer is an excellent win, in my opinion. Showed his veteran skill. Gregory Rodriguez was on a nice 3-fight win streak against decent opponents. The Christian Leroy Duncan was particularly impressive to me, but then he ended up losing to Jared Cannonier, which he started off really well, but I think he ended up losing to 5-round experience. It's a toughie, man, and it's going to be a 3-round fight. I think this fight could go either way, to be honest with you. Jack Hermansson, he's 37 years old, but he still looks good for 37. But then again, he's coming back after over a year off, maybe he's finally going to come in and look out of his prime. Well, I mean, he is out of his prime, but you get my point. I think this is a very, very, very close fight. I'm gonna give a slight lean to Jack Hermansson. Very, very slight lean. He is more. I don't know if I even want to say more experienced because RoboCop has taken on some really, really good guys. I'm gonna lean with Jack Hermansson. He has better experience against that top level of the division. So Jack Hermansson is gonna be my pick, but I think this fight could go either way, and I cannot wait to see what happens in this fight. Gregory Rodriguez is sitting at a small favorite at minus 189 right now. I honestly think it should be closer to a pick'em, to be honest with you guys. I think it's a very, very good fight. Over 2.5 at minus 185. This probably will go over 2.5, especially with Jack Hermansson, and I don't think that Gregory Rodriguez is going to come in and finish him. Very fun fight, very good fight. Slightly to Jack Hermansson. All right, guys, let's keep going. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but this is the fight that I'm looking forward to most on the card. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. I absolutely love watching both of these guys fight. Brandon Royval is an absolute dog, and Joshua Van has been on the come up like crazy. Joshua Van just performed a couple weeks ago. He is taking this, one day it says, he is taking this on short notice. He didn't fight one day ago, just so you guys know. But he has been in shape. He didn't take any damage against Bruno Silva. He is just stepping in. Of course, Brandon Royval was supposed to fight Manel Kape, and this is the fight that we're getting right now. So I don't know how much I want to say like the short notice really matters because Joshua Van was still in shape, but let's start with Brandon Royval, man. He is a dangerous, well-rounded fighter. He has fast striking and a great BJJ to back all that up. He excels when he's dictating the pace and he's moving forward. Sometimes, though, with Brandon Royval, he does get a little bit too dirty and too hungry, end up, trying to get to that finish, and that can work against him. He also doesn't adjust too much during the fight, but again, Brandon Royval is one of those fighters who has been improving. And the reason that I want to mention that specifically is because, especially against Tetsuro Taira, there were so many times where it seemed like he could have finished the fight. Well, not so many times, but he ended up wanting to submit the grappler. You know what I mean? So that's the only problem with Brandon Royval. Other than that, he's been improving. The dude's an absolute animal. His cardio's off the charts. He has also talked about wanting to get back to that championship level, and he doesn't want anybody to hold him down anymore. He's hungry. He wants to get back to that title, and he has been really showing that in his performance is exactly how hungry he is. You can see it in just his eyes and his performance. His will is there. And that's something very important to know. He's 17-7, but man, he's better than his, it's not a bad record, but he's better than his record shows. He has taken on some great fighters, losing to Alexandre Pantoja in a phenomenal fight. He got a nice win over Brandon Moreno, which was a split decision, but I thought this fight could have gone either way. I edged it to Brandon Royval, but a win against Brandon Moreno in a tough fight is fantastic. Then, of course, he beat Tetsuro Taira in another split decision, but man, again, I edged it to him, but he looked phenomenal in this fight. He's been going through wars, he's been getting all of the experience, but he's taken on Joshua Van. I have been so high on this guy, and it sucks a little bit because I liked gassing this guy up while he was coming to the UFC, because I know it's going to sound a little egotistical and stupid, but I was I saw the potential in Joshua Van before everybody else did. But on the other side of the coin, I'm really happy to see Joshua Van starting to become a fan favorite because he deserves all of the love that he's been getting. He is so much fun to watch, okay? He is an incredible boxer with a great chin, insane pressure. He has really sneaky kicks and takedowns behind it. The dude is improving every single time that we see him. His body work is money. His speed is very nice. He will walk you forward, pick you apart. He will throw every shot to any section of the body to make you think about exactly where you're getting hit. He has all of the heart in the world. He's improving each fight. You can never count him out of a performance, and he has great ground defense on top of all of that striking and great defense on the feet as well. If he ends up on the bottom position, he doesn't accept it. He has good takedown defense. He has sneaky elbows in the clinch when he's pressured. The dude is improving every single time that we see him. And while I mentioned his takedown defense, he's so comfortable on the feet because his takedown defense is so good. And it's improving every single time that we see him. Both guys are improving at a phenomenal rate. I would say Joshua Van's improving just a little bit more because every single time that we see this guy now, he's taking on great performances. And the Charles Johnson, he got caught, but he was winning the fight. It happens, okay? He comes back, has a fantastic, phenomenal fight against Edgar Sheras, puts on a nice performance against Cody Durden, beats Ray Teixeira, dominates him and just defends everything that he had coming for him. Bruno Silva just destroyed. And now he's bringing that momentum into Brandon Royval. But Brandon Royval also has an insane amount of momentum right now. The dude But, like, you have the improving part of Joshua Van and the surging contender that he is versus the hungriness to get back to that title of Brandon Royval. You can just sense it in him. And I cannot wait to watch these two perform. I honestly, guys, I think that this fight could go either way. I would imagine that Joshua Van is better technically on the feet. But here's the problem. This is a massive step up in competition against Brandon Royval. How many times have we seen these guys in the position that Joshua Van's in come in against a top contender against Brandon Royval and get fraud checked? No matter what, if Brandon Royval beats Joshua Van, I don't think it's a fraud check. I think Joshua Van is a phenomenal fighter. Just maybe it'll tell us that he has a little bit more work to do. I don't think that Brandon Royval is going to try to take him down. That option's there. But even if Brandon Royval wants to take Joshua Van down, I don't think that he's going to get him down. I think that this is going to be a fight that remains on the feet. And, I wish this was a 5-rounder. And Joshua Van gets better as the fight goes on, but Brandon Royval can do a 5-round fight, to be honest with you, too. Both guys are so good. You know how I just talked about Jack Hermanson and Gregory Rodriguez? I changed my mind. This is the toughest fight to pick. Here's the thing. I'm at a Chepe Mariscal level that I am with Joshua Van at this point, and I'm like that with a couple fighters right now where I know that they will fight for my money. And I keep saying I'm going to keep betting on them until the wheels fall off. I'm going to pick Joshua Van. The rate that he's been improving, the momentum that he's been on. I know Brandon Royval has those things, but I'm going to keep picking Joshua Van to win until I see him lose. And I know, again, he lost against Charles Johnson, but he got caught in that fight and he was having a phenomenal performance. So I'm not like, that's not a performance that I want to go, okay, I'm off the Joshua Van train. He's not undefeated, but I'm kind of treating him like he is. So until we see him lose, I'm going to continue to pick Joshua Van. Brandon Royval, he's exiting his prime. Joshua Van is not even close to his prime, but Brandon Royval has shown no signs of exiting his prime yet. I can't wait to watch his performance. I think this fight could go either way, but I'm going to be picking Joshua Van to get the win. And guys, I'm going to be honest. I've been saying I'm going to keep betting on Joshua Van until the wheels fall off that train, so I'm going to be betting on Joshua Van. Joshua Van is sitting at a fight that's basically a pick'em, a tiny favorite. To get if Brandon Royval ends up being like plus money over there, if you can get Brandon Royval at plus money, that is an excellent bet to make. But I'm going to keep betting on Joshua Van until it doesn't work out for me. It's worked out for me so far, and I'm going to keep doing it, okay? You have over 2.5, which this fight probably will hit at minus 256. I actually don't hate that for a parlay piece. You have two insanely tough guys. It's probably going to go to decision. I can't wait to watch this fight. Joshua Van is going to be my pick. It's a shame that somebody has to lose that fight, man. Because I like Brandon Royval too, and he's put so much work to get back to that title too. It's going to suck to watch either one of these guys lose. Joshua Van's going to be the pick. Now, guys, before we get into the featured fight over here, let me stop you just one more time. As you know, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels, and we upload content daily on multiple channels. If you're interested in the content that I make, if you want some background content, that's what I want to be. I want to be your guy who yaps in your background on your TV or something. Then you can check out any of my other channels. We have our toes dipped in a bunch of different niches on YouTube. The link tree at the top of the description, or you can find the direct links to all of these channels within the description down below. We've been seeing a little bit of bleed over, so for those of you who have been checking out other channels, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And thank you for spending your time over here on this video, guys. Your time is very valuable. I appreciate it. So let's not waste any more of that time. Let's get into the featured bout. So you know how I was just talking about how it was going to be a shame to see both Joshua Van and Brandon Royval lose? I kind of feel this way about these two fighters here because I'm excited to watch both of them. Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano. I really, really like both of these guys, both as fighters and as people, and I want the best for both of them. It's going to be one of those fights that I hate to watch, but it's such an interesting matchup, okay? You have Beneil Dariush, who's in a little bit of a tough spot in his career. He is a decently well-rounded fighter, but he's primarily a grappler. He does have good technique on the feet as well, though. He has heavy hands. He has really good timing on a lot of his shots. He does well in a scrap, but if he can get things working on the ground, then he is a major, major problem for his opponents and most fighters. Unfortunately, though, Beneil Dariush at this point in his career, he is 36 years old. He is past his prime now, and his chin might have actually been cracked, but I'm unsure in saying that Beneil Dariush doesn't have a chin anymore because of the competition level, because he ended up losing to Charles Oliveira by finish, and he ended up losing to Arman Tsarukyan by finish. I don't know if it's just two guys that are phenomenal fighters and can crack anybody's chin, or if Beneil Dariush is past his prime now and he actually has his chin cracked. Another thing that I wanted to mention about Beneil Dariush is he's spoken about kind of not, and of course I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what he said, but something along the lines of, I've watched interviews with him. I like Beneil Dariush as a guy. He's unsure, like, if he's still that guy. He has all of the motivation. He feels good in training, but he's got to be realistic about his career. And while I'm glad that he's being realistic, that could be a great thing for him, he doesn't have that delusional confidence to come in there like, yep, I'm going to beat Renato Moicano, and I'm going to beat Islam Makhachev right after that. Beneil Dariush isn't sure if he's still that same guy or if he's gotten old now. I don't like having that mentality, but I respect it because, again, a lot of fighters retire way too late. So, that's something to take into consideration with Beneil Dariush. Is he going to bite down? Is he going to have the confidence to bite down and start swinging against Renato Moicano? I don't know. Hey, Renato Moicano, on the other hand, it's crazy to me that this dude's 36 years old because I keep forgetting like how old he actually is. He hasn't shown signs of being past his prime yet. In fact, he is improving in most bouts. He is a very tough fighter. He's one of those guys that's kind of okay everywhere, but he is very good at BJJ. He has very good ground and pound. Each time that we see him, aside from the performance that we just saw, which we'll talk about in just a second, his striking has been improving from fight to fight. And one thing that does stand out is Renato Moicano's will to win. That will to win is there, unlike I was just talking about with Beneil Dariush. He has put himself in a headspace of a I cannot lose scenario. And I know it's a meme how Money Moicano can't afford to lose. That momentum and that mindset has been carrying him through quite a few performances. His heart has been on display and his will to win has absolutely been there. Now, here's the question. He just fought Islam Makhachev, and that was a fight that it's tough for Renato Moicano because obviously he lost and nothing really happened besides Islam Makhachev taking him down and choking him out. But that was a short notice replacement and he was not preparing for a title fight. Did this performance halt that momentum that Renato Moicano's been on? And because you need to have that headspace, right? I cannot afford to lose. That has been carrying him, and I know it's a meme. I know it's a meme, but that type of thing can really carry you through performances, and it really showed. The dude is like, I cannot afford to lose, and he showed that in his performances. His heart is on display there. Is that now halted with Islam Makhachev? I don't know. Other than that, these two are both the same age. Beneil Dariush is past his prime. Renato Moicano has not showed to be past his prime. In fact, he's been having really, really good performances. I know the Jalen Turner fight, he's lucky that Jalen Turner ended up wanting to have a really cool, spectacular KO moment, and then he came back and got the win, but the will was there, and he got the job done. Phenomenal performance against Benoit Saint Denis, and then, of course, the Islam Makhachev fight. It's tough, man. If this was prime for prime, I would pick Beneil Dariush. I think that his grappling is just as good as Renato Moicano, and he has really, really sneaky timing on the feet. But I worry about the confidence level of Beneil Dariush. I worry that his chin might not be there anymore. And that might not be the case, okay? That might not be the case, but the worry is there enough to the point where I'm going to pick Renato Moicano to get the job done. I think Renato Moicano will be slightly better on the feet. I worry about the confidence level of Beneil Dariush, and if it goes to the ground, maybe Renato Moicano will be able to work there. But again, it's just one of those things that I worry about Beneil Dariush because of the state of his career that he's in right now. Otherwise, I would pick him. So Renato Moicano is going to be my pick, and I hate this fight because I really like both of them. I want the best for both of them. I think they are two very, very respectable fighters trying to do the best for their families. Not that other fighters aren't. They've just been very vocal about it, and I really appreciate what they do. I hate to watch this fight. I don't want to see Beneil go out horribly. I kind of hope he wins for that because of that. But I'm also liking what Renato Moicano's been doing, man. I love both of these guys. I don't want to watch either one of them lose, okay? Renato Moicano is sitting at a -157 favorite. That makes sense. Again, I think that most people will probably pick Renato Moicano to get the job done, but you can never. If Beneil shows up and his chin's not cracked, his motivation's still there, he can absolutely win this fight. It's going to be a good fight, but I'm going to hate to watch it at the same time. All right, guys, let's move on to the co-main event, and shockingly, out of all the fights we just yapped about on the card, I think this might be one of the fights that I have the least amount to say. When Alexandre Pantoja, Kai Kara-France, this is a great fight. Alexandre Pantoja, the reigning champion, been looking absolutely phenomenal. He is an all-round fighter, well-rounded fighter, complete fighter. He has a good gas tank, and he is especially good on the ground. His heart and cardio are on another level. Well, you know what's funny is sometimes Alexandre Pantoja looks like he's gassing out, but he has such a big heart that he will just push himself past any point of exhaustion and still move forward, still smother you, still take you down. The dude is a guy that you absolutely do not want to fight. Since he got the title, man, he's been looking phenomenal. He's had some great fights, and he's had great fights. He's had great performances. He's had great technical wars, and he's gotten the better of pretty well every single one. Just take a look at these, man, these recent performances. Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, Steve Urseg, Kaya Asakura. Kaya Asakura didn't really belong there, but he came in and made quick work about him, man. I actually thought that Steve Urseg won the fight, but he's been looking, other than that, he's been looking absolutely phenomenal as a champion. Kai Kara-France, on the other hand, he's been a challenger who hasn't been fighting all of that recently. And like I said, there's not a ton to break down about this fight. Kai Kara-France, he's a great, fast striker with good takedown defense. Is that takedown defense good enough to get it past Alexandre Pantoja? I doubt it. He's getting a title fight after one win. Brandon Moreno ended up finishing him, and then he ended up having a loss against Amir Albazi, which was a split decision, but in my opinion, he didn't look like himself in this fight, but that's a conversation for another time. He did end up losing this fight, and then he beat Steve Verseg, which honestly shocked me. It was a really good fight after while it was lasting, but he ended up just catching Steve Verseg with a really, really solid shot. And that's a story of Kai Kara-France, man. He's just a striker. He has good power for the division. Can he crack Alexandre Pantoja? I doubt it. It's always possible, right? Like, he shocked the world before. He shocked the world. A lot of people thought Steve Verseg was going to win, myself included. But I do not see him chinning Alexandre Pantoja. Pantoja is due for an upset. He's 35 years old right now in the flyweight division. How much longer can he hang with these young guys? And Kai Kara-France, while he's exiting his prime, he's still there. He's been looking good. While Alexandre Pantoja is due for an upset, and one of these days he's going to show up having won too many wars. His body can't take it anymore. He hasn't shown any signs of that yet. So he should come in here. He should pressure Kai Kara-France. He should take him down, and he should overwhelm him with the striking. My pick is going to be Alexandre Pantoja. I'm very confident in saying that. It's just the only way that I see him losing is him finally showing up and looking out of his prime. Other than that, Alexandre Pantoja should absolutely win this fight, and my pick is going to be Alexandre Pantoja, and I hope he gets a job done. Not the biggest fan of Kai Kara-France, but I like Alexandre Pantoja. He is a very, very underappreciated fighter. He's so underappreciated that a little while ago I made a video talking about the most underappreciated fighters in the UFC, and I forgot to mention Alexandre Pantoja. But anyways, Pantoja set at a minus 263 favorite. That makes sense. He should win this fight. Absolutely. What do we have over here? Over 4.5 at minus 115. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Really, that's a little bit shocking to me. I thought it'd be a little bit more of a favorite. That's something that you could take into consideration, man. You have two pretty tough guys. But my pick, again, is going to be Alexandre Pantoja to get the job done. All right, guys, let's get on over to the main event of the evening. For the vacant lightweight title, we have Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira. Ilia Topuria has been dominating everybody's favorite fighters, and I'm very mad at him for it. I have been enjoying the meme that this dude is just a supervillain, though, just coming in or ruining everybody's favorite fighters. Ilia Topuria, man, he is an extremely complete fighter with a boxing-heavy style. The guy can do everything. He has all of the heart in the world. On top of that, he has 5-round, near-perfect cardio with perfect technique and everything that he does. He is one of those fighters that is just complete. He's a complete, perfect fighter. He's 16-0. He hasn't had a close fight at all. Like, Bryce Mitchell gave him a tiny bit of a worry, but the dude's been phenomenal. And he's coming off of a phenomenal performance against Alexander Volkanovski, followed by being the first guy to actually knock out Max Holloway. I know there's a little bit of me that thinks it might have been the weight cut for Max Holloway, but still, I'm going to stop doubting this dude. He is phenomenal at what he does. He's taken on Charles Oliveira, who is also a very complete fighter with dangerous Muay Thai striking and some of the best BJJ and submission games in the entirety of MMA. He is very technical when it comes to all aspects of MMA, just like I was mentioning Ilia Topuria. He has all of the experience, cardio, chin, pressure. The guy can also do everything, like I said, about Ilia Topuria. About his heart, though, and this is something that some people still talk about. People talk about Charles Oliveira being a quitter. That guy still hit him, and Islam Makhachev exposed that. He's past that. He did not quit against Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev just beat him, and Islam Makhachev is one of the best fighters of all time. You can knock this guy down all you want, but if you knock down Charles Oliveira, and and you don't finish him, the dude will come back absolutely stronger, and his will to win is absolutely there. Charles Oliveira is 35 years old, almost 36 years old. He is past his prime at this point in his career, but he is still an excellent fighter. He's still got it. He's just not the champion Charles Oliveira that he was anymore. He looked like it in the Michael Chandler performance, for example. Like, he dominated Michael Chandler from start to finish, but a prime Charles Oliveira would have finished the Michael Chandler. Does that make sense? Other than that, he's had a couple losses recently against both Arman Tsarukyan and Islam Makhachev. Some people say this is a robbery. I don't think it was a robbery at all. I thought Arman Tsarukyan won the fight, but he did have his good moments. I think that people are counting out Charles Oliveira too much in this bout, but I'm still going to pick Ilia Topuria. Just in the reason, first of all, he's coming up in weight, and from the looks of it, if you've seen any pictures of Ilia Topuria, the dude looks like he's filling into the weight class very nicely. If he brings in that 145 skill, and historically when those guys move up, when somebody moves up a weight division, they look better. They are a better fighter. If he brings that power up to lightweight and it translates well, I don't want to see Charles Oliveira go out cold. Dude, you know what? The way that things have been going right now, Ilia Topuria has been beating everybody's favorite fighter and ruining them. He ruined Alexander Volkanovski. He ruined Max Holloway. And now is he going to ruin Charles Oliveira? That's just the way that it seems to go. MMA is not nice. Just on the basis of that, we should be picking Ilia Topuria. Again, I think that everybody's counting out Charles Oliveira, and it wouldn't shock me if Charles Oliveira did win this fight. Not at all. It wouldn't shock me if Charles Oliveira caught Ilia Topuria in a submission. He has some of the best BJJ in the history of MMA. I can't not pick Ilia Topuria. The dude is 16-0. He's had a perfect career so far. I don't think he's due for an upset quite yet. His confidence level is on another planet. I think Ilia Topuria is going to lose when the point comes where he's actually comfortable. I don't think he's just there yet. He's going to be hungry to be a double champion. He still wants to be a star. After coming off a performance like he did, beating Alexander Volkanovski, after experienced Volkanovski at his good pace that he did for one round and knocking out Max Holloway, I'm afraid that he's going to knock out Charles Oliveira. If we see this dude go out cold, I'm going to be so sad. And I don't hate Ilia Topuria. I just like Charles Oliveira. I like Max Holloway, and I like Alexander Volkanovski. I think both guys are technical when it comes everywhere. Like I said, both of them are very complete fighters. And Charles Oliveira, if he gets knocked down and Ilia Topuria doesn't finish the fight, I would love to see what it looks like with that level of danger what Charles Oliveira brings into the aspect of the game if he can beat Ilia Topuria doing that. Other than that, I do see a path to victory for Charles Oliveira. I think that he can find a sneaky submission like he has so many times. And it wouldn't shock me if he got the job done, but I am going to pick Ilia Topuria to get the win over here. He's probably going to bring that 145 skill into 155, filling into the weight class. And with the way that things are going, he's probably going to knock out Charles Oliveira, and it's going to break my heart. I really, really, really want Charles Oliveira to win this fight. I hope he wins the fight, but I'm going to be picking Ilia Topuria. Let's see what OddsJam has to say, and I assume that Ilia Topuria would be a big favorite over here. I'm not even going to think about betting on Charles Oliveira. To be honest with you, I thought that Max Holloway would beat Ilia Topuria. I'm done with that. Ilia Topuria has completely convinced me. Over 2.5 is at plus money. Yeah, I don't even like that, man. Don't finish Charles Oliveira, Ilia, please. But I would really love to see Charles Oliveira get the job done, and this is a great card. Ilia Topuria is going to be my pick. Let me know what you think about all of these matchups down below. While people have been upset about this card, and this being the International Fight Week card with Paulo Costa pulling out, I still think it's an excellent card. I am looking forward to pretty well every single fight. And you know what? The Tracy Cortez fight won't even be that bad to watch. Everybody likes watching Tracy Cortez, right? But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I can't wait for it. We got Octagon going on the same day too. I'm going to make a whole day out of it. And it's going to be phenomenal, guys. Let me know what you think about the entire card down below. Thank you very much for watching. That video that I mentioned earlier, the most underappreciated fighters in MMA, you can check out that video right here if you'd like to talk about it. And I yap about fighters who I think deserve more praise from the fans. Thanks for being here, everybody. Take care, guys.